I travel for work. A lot. So airports, they became my second home. I've seen every kind of delay, every type of chaos, screaming kids, power outages, even a lightning strike once. But nothing, and I mean nothing, comes close to what I experienced at a small regional airport just outside of Portland. It was a red-wire flight, booked last minute. I was heading to Chicago for a conference, and all the main carriers were full, so I got stuck with this no-name airline operating out of Terminal E, which I had never seen before. I arrived at 10:30 p.m. The airport was mostly dead by then. One coffee shop open, 2 TSA agents yawning behind their scanner, and almost no other passengers in sight. My ticket said Gate E7, but when I got there, something felt off. The gate was dimly lit. One flickering overhead light. The digital screen just displayed static. No agent, no passengers, no announcements. Checked my phone. No change to the flight time, it still said on time. So I sat, alone. 10 minutes passed, then 20. That's when I heard the paging system crackle to life. Final boarding call, Flight 227 to Chicago, Gate E7. But no one else was around. Still no staff. Just the empty hallway and that low hum of old airport lights. I walked up to the jetway door. Weirdly, it was already unlocked. That should have been my first real warning. As I stepped inside the jetway, I felt a sudden drop in temperature, like a freezer had opened. My breath fogged up, but the jetway was longer than usual, much longer. It felt like it kept stretching, like the walls were moving just slightly with each step. I could see a dull red light glowing at the end, definitely not normal for an airport. I kept going though, I needed that flight. When I got to the end, there was no plane, just a door, metal, rusted, with a symbol etched into it. Not the airline logo, not anything I recognized. I should have turned back, but something made me grab the handle and pull. Inside was darkness, not just lack of light. It was like stepping into a void, a place that absorbed sound. Then, out of nowhere, a man's voice behind me said, "Sir, you're not supposed to be here." I spun around. It was a TSA agent, his face pale, eyes wide. "Gate E7 has been closed since 1993, he said. "Heta, the incident." I tried to speak, but my throat tightened. He yanked me away from the doorway just as something moved inside the darkness. I didn't see it, I only felt it. Like something enormous had leaned forward and smelled me. The agent slammed the jetway door shut and locked it with a physical key. I was shaking, freezing. He didn't explain much, just walked me back into the main concourse and said, "Your flight's been rerouted. Go to Gate B2. Later that night, back at the hotel, I Googled Gate E7 Incident 1993. Nothing came up on the main search, but in a dark forum post archived years ago, someone wrote, "If you ever get a ticket for Gate E7, don't board. That gate was sealed after Flight 237 disappeared into fog and never landed. The airline didn't even exist. Passengers never found. Some say the plane never crashed. It just kept flying into something else. I don't fly red-wire anymore. And if I ever see a terminal that's too quiet, I'll walk the other way." This happened about 3 years ago. I was stuck in the Denver International Airport overnight after a snowstorm grounded all flights out of the Midwest. Every hotel nearby was booked, so the airline handed out paper-thin blankets and told us to make ourselves comfortable on the chairs in Terminal C. There were maybe 50 of us scattered across the massive terminal, trying to sleep under buzzing fluorescent lights. I found a quiet corner near gate C12 and tucked into a row of seats with my bag as a pillow. That's when I heard it, crying. A child. Quiet at first, but steady. I sat up and looked around. It was past 2 a.m. No one nearby. Just the echo of the crying bouncing off the empty terminal walls. I got up, thinking maybe a kid got separated from their parents. The sound was coming from near gate C9, one of the darkest parts of the terminal. All the lights there were dimmed or flickering. Half the monitors showed delayed. The other half, nothing, just black screens. And in front of one of the chairs was a girl. She looked maybe 7, wearing a blue hoodie and snow boots. But she was crying without moving, not shaking, not wiping her face, just crying. I crouched down. "Hey, are you okay? Where's your mum or dad?" She didn't respond. Then she looked up. Her eyes, they were all black. Not just dark. Black. Entirely, like a void had filled them. And suddenly her expression shifted. Not sad anymore, but blank. Emotionless. And she whispered, "They never leave. They only pretend to." That's when the overhead PA system glitched. The same sentence repeated backward and forward like a broken loop. The lights above C9 flickered violently. When I turned to look at the monitor above the gate, the screen was on. But it didn't list any city, just the words. "Final boarding, passenger 1 of 1. I turned back to the girl. She was gone. Not walked away. Just not there anymore. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. Found the most crowded area I could, sat there until the sun came up. And when I mentioned it to a cleaning lady who'd worked there 20 years, she just paused. "You saw her too?" I nodded. She whispered, "We call her Gate Girl. Shows up every winter. Always by C9, always alone. Some say she's still waiting for a flight that never left." Then she looked at me and added, "And if she ever stops crying, that's when you should run." This happened to me at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport during a 14-hour layover. It was around 1:45 a.m. I'd gotten off a long-haul flight from Tokyo and was headed back to London. Exhausted, jet-lagged and sore, I just wanted a place to stretch out and sleep for a few hours. Most of the airport was quiet. A few shops were still open, but the halls were mostly empty. Then I saw a dim section near Gate 22, darker than the others. Not pitch black, just underlit. There were rows of seats, and one of them had a man lying across 3 chairs, bundled in a grey airport blanket. He looked dead asleep. That corner felt colder than the rest of the terminal, but I didn't think much of it at the time. I picked a row nearby, laid out, put in my earbuds, and closed my eyes. That's when it started. I opened my eyes. That man, he was now sitting up, but not looking at me. Just facing straight ahead, stiff like a doll. I thought, weird, maybe he couldn't sleep either. I sat up and nodded politely, but he didn't blink, didn't move. And now I realized he wasn't just still. He was unmoving. No breathing, no blinking, no shifting. I stared at him for maybe 20 seconds. Then his head turned, fast, mechanical, like a switch had been flipped. And in a calm, unblinking voice, he said, "You should not be here. This gate doesn't wait for the living." I jumped to my feet, looked around. The lights near Gate 22 were flickering now, and the departures board above it didn't show any city, no flight number. Ugh. Yeah, 3 letters. I backed away, heart racing, and nearly ran into an airport staff member walking by. She looked at me, confused, and asked if I was okay. I turned to point at the man, but there was no one there. The chairs were empty, no blanket, no trace. And when I looked at the digital sign again, it had changed back. Gate 22, Flight 909, departed. The woman, pale now, said, "There hasn't been a Flight 909 in 10 years. That was before the renovation, before the incident." She wouldn't tell me what incident, but I checked the news later. In 2013, Flight 909 departed from Gate 22 and vanished mid-air. No wreckage. No black box. Only static was ever heard from the cockpit. And here's the real punch. Every year on the anniversary of its disappearance, passengers claim to see a man sitting behind Gate 22 under a grey blanket. Still waiting to board. Still warning anyone who gets too close. This happened in 2019 at the Atlanta airport. I had just landed from a red-eye, completely wiped. It was around 4:30 a.m. and baggage claim was nearly empty. Just me, one older man in a trench coat, and a woman standing stiffly near Carousel 7. At first, I didn't think much of her. She looked like a tired mum. Long coat, holding a stuffed giraffe toy in one hand, clutching her purse in the other. Her hair was disheveled, and her eyes bloodshot. But what made me stop was this. She wasn't watching the carousel. She was staring at the entrance door, unblinking, like she was waiting for someone to come through. After about 5 minutes, I noticed her lips moving, whispering the same sentence again and again. "She'll come back. He promised me he'll come back." It wasn't just eerie, it was heartbreak. I walked up and gently said, "Ma'am, do you need help?" She blinked once, then slowly turned toward me. Her eyes looked off, glassy, like looking through someone, not at them. And she said, "My son, he's just late. He always gets distracted at the terminals." I asked if I could call someone for her. She shook her head. He always comes back to me, always." That's when I noticed something strange. Her clothes, they were outdated, like mid-90s, outdated. Her purse was the kind I'd seen in old Sears catalogues. The stuffed giraffe had faded, worn-out seams, the type of plush you don't see in stores anymore. Then the carousel screeched to a halt. My bag never came, but something else did. One small, beat-up suitcase rolled out. Slow, deliberate, covered in dust, a faded sticker on the handle that said, "Passenger Michael R. Jensen, age 8. I turned to ask the woman if that was hers, but she was gone. Not walking away, not down the hall, just gone. Security footage showed no one by Carousel 7 during my arrival. No one fitting her description entered the terminal. Not even the suitcase was ever claimed." But here's the thing. I searched that name later. Michael R. Jensen, 8 years old. Died in a plane crash out of Atlanta in 1996. His mother was on the ground waiting to pick him up. She never left the airport. Never. Some say she still waits in the suitcase. It's been spotted every few years on that same carousel. Never picked up. Just rolling by, waiting for someone to come home. I worked the night shift as a junior technician at a private airfield in Arizona. Most nights were uneventful. We'd fuel a few late flights, log cargo, close-up hangars, and just wait for sunrise. But there was always one hangar, Hangar 14, that everyone joked about. Well, at first, they joked. It was always closed, locked, never used, even though it looked perfectly intact. When I asked the supervisor about it, He got quiet. "That one stays sealed," he said. "Old military storage. No access." Didn't think much of it until the night I was left alone. A storm had moved in fast. Wind gusts up to 40 a.m. Everyone else went home early, but I stayed behind to finish paperwork and secure the grounds. That's when I saw it. From my truck, across the tarmac, Hangar 14's lights were on, glowing white under the cracks of the massive steel door. I grabbed my flashlight and headed over, thinking maybe someone left something running inside. When I got there, I could hear it, a rhythmic pulse, almost like a heartbeat, coming from behind the door. "Lux, Harry." No answer. And so I used my key card on the external panel. Surprisingly, it accepted. The metal door creaked open. Inside was empty. No planes, no storage containers, just a wide-open concrete floor. But in the center of it stood a man, back turned, wearing a flight suit. I called out, "Hey, you're not supposed to be here." He didn't move. I took a step closer. The lights in the hangar flickered, once, twice, then shut off completely. Total darkness. My flashlight flickered but held. The man was gone, and etched on the floor where he stood was a burn mark. A black, jagged outline of a human figure scorched into the concrete, like someone had been vaporized. Then I heard the voice, not spoken aloud, but inside my head. Lee never left the last flight. My flashlight flickered again, and now there were footsteps echoing all around me, boots heavy. But no shadows, no figures. I ran, slammed the door shut behind me and keyed the lock. Back at the office, I reported it to the shift manager the next morning. He paled, said, "You opened Hangar 14? I nodded. He showed me a photo, grainy, black and white. A plane crew all in flight suits, smiling. Flight 400-01. Lost on re-entry in 89. They used to train here. That hangar was their last departure point." He pointed to the man in the center of the photo. "That's the pilot, name's Mitchell. No body was ever recovered." It was the same man I saw. That hangar, it was sealed not because it was dangerous, panned, but because it's still receiving them.